thank you everyone who's tuning in, coming from the Top Cut tournament. It was awesome. Congratulations to JT Wild and to Midas on their high placings. Congratulations to everyone else who placed in the top 8 and anyone who did not get better. But anyways, let's jump.
Nah, I share the sentiment.
But let's jump right into conversation. Well, actually, let's rattle off our panel. Guys, go ahead.
Howdy.
Alright.
What an action!
Alright, bye.
Howdy. Alright, that's it. Done. I am joined by Xyless, Lord Sturm, Pack Diesel, and Kappy, which is perfect today because 2 of these guys, old Brawl players, which is going to be fantastic for the conversation we're having. Oh
yeah, we got the old stage reference.
Yup, we're talking about Delfino and Halberd a little bit today.
And it's gonna suck.
It's gonna turn into a big argument.
It's gonna be great.
We already had a little bit of an argument in like the TO chat about this.
A little?
A little. Tom, Burg, and Warren about to slit each other's throats.
I may have made some death threats.
Whoa.
So basically what it boils down to is Tom Burg is a terrible person.
Yeah, that's not news.
Should never be allowed in public again. You can't talk to people like that, Tom.
That's not news.
This
shouldn't be news to anyone. Alright.
But anyways, so the big
you guys
topic
need to know better than that.
Right now, actually, you know, not just in Chicago, but like almost nationwide, is should these stages be legal?
It's very interesting.
Well, we have a problem right now where it's not just Delfino Halberd, but we also have discussions on the new Peach's Castle, so God no. We have discussions on Castle Siege, God no, and that was brought up based on SKTAR. And you have Halberd and Delfino. Meanwhile, you have Japan just playing 3 stages and going, you know what, Luigi's low tier, get over it. So we have all these different possibilities. We've been working with the 9-stage list with 2 bands. And everything has been going fine, but now the conversation has become, do we have too many stages with a low ceiling? That is really what a lot of this boils down to.
Yep.
Yeah. Because, I mean, a good reference point is being a Rosalina player. When people sit down next to me, and if they win, and I go, what are your bans? They're just like, I banned the Rosalina stages. And I'm just like, okay, that means Halberd, Delfino. And, like, should a stage exist like that is kind of part of the question. But, for reference, West Coast has been running the 7-stage list. They currently have Battlefield, Smashville, Final Destination, Town and City, and Dreamland as their 5 starters. And then a conversation that I know some people are having as well is that they want to keep Lila as a starter over Dreamland and keep it 7 stages as well. Duck Hunt and Dreamland being the counterpick then with 1 ban.
I agree with that for the same reason, and that is that even Battlefield can be considered a kill off the top stage based on how high the top platform is. And
it does have the highest ceiling, though.
It does have the highest ceiling, but the platform gets you up there, and Dreamland being almost identical to Battlefield for many reasons, including killing off the top, especially based on the 3 platforms, you now have 5 starters where you essentially have to waste both bans on Battlefield and Dreamland if you want to ban either one of those stages. Like, if you don't want to go to a 3-platform stage, those are your bans, and you're basically letting your opponent pick out of the other 3.
Yeah, the 2-3 platform stages is ridiculous for banning, simply because of that logistical like situation right there. Like you can't get out of it at that point.
Yeah, my problem with having Dreamland even as a counterpick is it's the Omega stage situation where like it's exactly the same as Battlefield with very minor changes, which is what the stage shape, the wind, which is arguably not that big of a deal, higher platforms and lower ceiling. So like
isn't it longer than Battlefield a little bit too?
A little bit. But it's like other than that, it's just Battlefield Plus. So anyone who wants to go to Battlefield, if you ban Battlefield, good, they get the better Battlefield. And if they ban Dreamland and not Battlefield, nothing's changed. Whereas Omega, it's the exact same situation where like for example, the Game Watch stage is the same thing, but it's straight down. So it's the same stage, but it has a wall on the bottom instead. So like, there's no difference to that conversation.
Other than the wall, we have this unfortunate kind of standoff between, I feel like, everybody in the country talking about this, where if you have Battlefield, Dreamland both as starters, you have 2 stages with 3 platforms as starters. If you have, say, Omega Windy Hill as your 9th stage over something like Delfino or Halberd, then you basically have 2 final destinations. If you only have 7 stages, then half the people are going to riot and half the people are going to rejoice.
Yeah.
Like, we're so close, yet so far away from a real solution, and unfortunately we just do not have a legitimate 9th playable stage, or like 8th, 9th playable stage. There's a few stages that are close that we just can't use.
What are all the playable stages like? Just straight up.
So, currently, the 9-stage standard that like a lot of places are running is not counting starters and counterpicks. Most of the time, the switches are either Dreamland or Lilat being a starter or counterpick, or vice versa.
Okay.
But anyways, it's Battlefield, Smashville, FD, Town and City, Lilat, Dreamland, Halberd, Delfino, and Duck Hunt.
Okay.
So I think out of all those stages, 6 are unquestionably legal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I concur.
So you have your 5 starters, which are, if we're gonna count Lilat as a starter, which I think honestly we should.
I don't see any problem with Lilat.
Wasn't it a starter in Brawl?
It was sometimes a starter. Sometimes
Lilat
it was.
sucks.
Oh no, it wasn't a starter, bro, but it was a good stage.
Oh,
It
you
wasn't a
guys
starter
laugh.
because it was between that and Pokemon Stadium 1.
Oh, you guys laugh, but Lilat was hated.
Lilat was really rough for a lot of characters.
Brawl hated
Brawl.
Lilat.
But Lilat
And then Meta
has
Knight
fixed
just got
edges.
to for
But,
free,
like,
always.
Now
Lilat's a
like
great
Battlefield.
stage now, guys. Like, Lilat has a really bad rap, but it's a great stage.
The way that you can...
Once they
ledge
fixed
grab.
the ledge underneath, it got a lot better.
Yeah,
Because
they
of the
fixed it, so it's
physics.
fine. But
Yeah, because
man,
of the
was it
physics
bad
of
in
Smash
Brawl.
4.
Jesus.
It was also terrible in PM. Like, that's such a terrible stage.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Now that you can grab ledges without an issue, like you have magnet hands on everybody in Smash 4, the physics of the game makes it a very playable, good stage.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's fine.
the rep of Lilat, the reputation of Lilat still precedes itself in our scene at the very least. And
That's because it was hated in Illinois.
it was hated
Brawl,
in Illinois.
Like,
Well, no, not even Brawl. Even at the beginning of Smash 4, when the ledges had the jank on them, where you literally couldn't grab them.
Where
Oh,
they
I
were
didn't-
literally
Yoshi-
ceilings.
oh,
So you'd
Now
bounce
that-
your head on them.
Now that there's the patched new ledge, since I think the first Wii U balance patch, Yoshi loves that stage. But before, you could not go there because you couldn't sweet spot the ledge. It's just impossible.
well then it's fine with me. If they fix the edges, then we good for Lilat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ledges are great now. I mean, it's still possible to get caught under if you try to ramp up it like you're playing on Battlefield or something, but don't be an idiot.
But I think that's fair the way it's positioned.
Yeah, it never feels like I go to up B to like snag the ledge, and for some reason Lilat's just like nah, and just like slams me underneath.
And
It's just
like the rare
tilts
times
up.
it does, like
The pilot's looking in his rearview mirror like hell nah, tilts it out.
and like the characters who do get screwed over by the ledge, like they're just gonna ban Lilat anyway as they're striking.
Yeah, a lot of people still ban it as a comfort pick.
Yeah.
So, Kappy, you asked me straight up what do I think is you asked what the playable stages were. For a second,
Yeah.
I thought you were asking me what defines like a playable stage. Like, what do I think is a playable stage?
I'll ask that right now. What's a playable stage, Pack Diesel?
Some
Great
well,
segue
if-
for yourself, buddy.
Yeah, nailed it. Personally, I believe you should not have stages with transitions or walk-offs. For a 1v1 competitive game, especially in the style that Smash Brothers has grown ever since the early days of Melee. I mean, don't forget, for a long time, in like the first 3-4 years, even maybe a little longer, when Melee became a thing, items were legal. Then for a long time, every stage was legal. You had Rainbow Cruise and Poke Floats, and it was sweet.
Hey,
But
Hey, bring back Pokefloats.
Rainbow Cruise, forever godlike.
yes,
Says
So-
the Kirby player.
Dude, as an
Basic-
Olimar player, I loved Rainbow Cruise.
so I look at
Being a low
Delfino
ceilings.
and Halberd, both of those two stages, as somewhere in between, where if you're okay with transitions and walk-offs, then there are probably even more playable stages than we've talked about. I mean, for Christ's sake, Flat Zone is probably a playable stage,
Good
if
God.
that's the case.
No.
So they either are or they aren't in this game.
Yeah,
So-
but okay. Well, let me just interrupt you for a quick second, for a
Go.
hot minute. Isn't Town and City? Don't they have transitions?
No, I mean it's got the platforms that.
I mean, they do
It's very
transition.
hardly a transition.
I would still call it a transition.
the base,
I don't-
like the base platform stays. It technically is flying around like the city, and then when it like gets to a certain spot, it like the platforms come in, and then it leaves.
The
like-
transitions on Town and City can be defined as there's a platform arrangement number 1, then there's
Right.
Final Destination, then there's platform arrangement number 2, back to Final Destination, platform arrangement number 1. It is not a transition in
Technically,
comparison
though.
to
Okay.
Delfino transition.
Right.
I
I'm
see
just
Kappy's point here.
I'm just trying to like dig into his logic a little because he said no transitions, but
No, okay.
technically.
No, Kappy, I got you on this. First of all, I agree with you. Town and City, you can technically get walked off, and not just walked off, but walked off by the stage. Like, if you land and don't peck on a platform as it's moving out, you did.
All
or
of us
you
funny
get a
though.
grab on the platform and you just hold them as you like transition to death.
Yo, people used to do that
Papa
for what's it called? The ZSS place
So,
in
Oh,
Brawl.
that freaking the one that flips upside down or whatever.
Yes, there's a
Frigate
platform.
Frigate
There was a
Orphan.
platform that would go out of
That stage
frigate.
was legal, guys, for a time.
And it would platforms would come
That
out to
stage
the
wasn't
sides
as
and
bad as
retract
it seemed
into
like
the
it
stage.
should be.
Yeah,
I don't care. It was legal.
no, that stage sucks.
It was the biggest problem was the right side.
Yeah,
If the right side didn't have a way to like grab, if it could, like then the tethers were like ruined on that stage. Like Ivysaur and Zero Suit, just they were dead.
Zero Suit's like one of her worst stages, and it's
Yeah.
a home turf.
Dude, that always happens though. The spaces
Frigate
hate
Orphan, that's the
Lilat.
name of it.
I know, it's the best.
So to tell you, like, my logic straight up, Kappy, I have the unpopular opinion. I'm partial to Japan's stage list. The only legal stages should be Battlefield, FD, and Smashville, and everything else is absurd and ridiculous and so forth.
I'm on board.
And no one else in America seems to agree with that. So now I am stuck. Well, you do, and I love you for it. But I am stuck in this just... Everybody talks about, like, you can't have this stage legal, and you can't have Castle Siege, and you can't have Peach's Castle, but you can have Delfino and Halberd, and there's no clear-cut definition as to why all these stages are legal, or not legal. There is just, this is what everyone has played with since the dawn of Smash 4. Delfino was a legal stage in Week 1 in the 3DS. It remained a legal stage.
Well, you know, mostly why. I think a part of the reason why Delfino and Halberd have just remained legal, and why they were legal to begin with, is because we had the 3DS stage list to start with, which I am going to name it right now. It is Battlefield, FD, Yoshi's Island Brawl, end of list, basically.
Yes.
And there's the one counterpick stage that was that Pokemon City thing that floated around, and that was if we had that
Tokyo
in
City, baby.
If we had that stage in Wii U, I'd be ecstatic. That's a great counterpick.
Or if we had Yoshi's Island Brawl.
Well,
Yep.
don't get me started.
Those are sad memories, man.
That's
Bring it
a
back.
very sore spot for Tom.
Oh man.
Me too.
Okay, well,
Oh, man.
here's kind of an argument that could be made towards Delfino. I'm not saying like it should be legal or shouldn't be legal, but we do have to inevitably, when you're just looking at stages, someone has to eventually kind of define what a legal stage is, and like I agree that walk-offs should not be legal because of walk-off camping, but I'm saying that in a sense of 100% always there walk-offs.
Yeah.
In a walk-off for 12 seconds, is that a huge deal to see?
It leads to 12 seconds of stale gameplay.
Yes,
That's
Unless you're me.
The reason that Delfino and Halberd, especially Delfino, made it to the legal stage list, in my opinion, is because technically they more or less got grandfathered in because of Brawl, where they weren't anywhere as bad as they used to be. Because in Brawl, like there were still walk-offs, but just don't go near the enemy when like most characters couldn't really do anything with the walk-offs except for like DDD. Like you just stand near the middle, you're fine. And then the low ceilings, that wasn't really an issue because you couldn't jump as high and you couldn't really combo that well vertically. Or really at all. So it wasn't really a factor. So the fact that there were walk-offs but there were transitions for the walk-offs really made it more balanced because, like, whatever, walk-offs. They're only there for a little bit and then you go back to a great stage. And then with Halberd, same thing where, like, because there was SDI, the laser wasn't an issue. Because the ceilings weren't as high, and you couldn't jump as high, being able to kill vertically. Also, there wasn't many moves that could really do the vertical, not the base knockback of like Rosalina's up air. So that wasn't an issue at all, or like Zero Suit's up B. And then like I feel like the cannon is way stronger in this too.
Yo, yeah, I gotta get up attack to cannon explosive kill once.
Yeah, yo, that's hype. That's hella hype. Though.
If you guys haven't seen it, one of the hypest Halberd moments of my life was 6WX commentating 6WX in your first Smash 4 Worldwide. He did like this crazy combo into the cannonball on Alphakins. I was just like, my god. Oh,
just silly.
A few weeks ago, I was playing against Rez at Geek Bar, and he did the Gordo throw, and it was right when the laser happened, so the laser caught the Gordo, and he was just kind of standing there. Yeah, in tournament. And he jumped to approach me, and right when that happened, the Gordo, it did its last hit, which is enough to knock the Gordo back, and it killed him.
Oh my god.
It was like the funniest kill I think I've ever gotten.
It probably hit him for like 200%, right?
It hit him for I think 60. It was pretty ridiculous.
What? It did 60%?
It was because it was getting reflected the whole time.
What?
Okay, so
that's godlike.
Okay, so the conversation at hand, though, and Mike, you asked this question, is like, who's going to define what a walk-off stage is? Like, or not a walk-off stage, a legal stage. Someone has to define what a legal stage is. Mm-hmm. And while it falls on the community at large to really figure it out, ultimately it's always going to be up to the tournament organizers to choose stage lists and choose what is legal and so on and so forth. So right now, I have to call out just about every tournament organizer I've ever interacted with. All of them play the game, and all of them main shit like Rosa, Diddy, Sheik, and are just totally cool with like, well, I don't want to ban Delfino because it helps me in tournaments.
Yeah,
I don't want to ban Halberd
I have an issue
because it helps me in tournament.
Yep.
It drives me nuts because any one of those guys, if you ask them, and Mike, I'm excluding you from this because I've actually heard your rationale behind this in the past. The majority of TOs that play characters that get advantages from stages that are not popular do not actually have a legitimate logical reason for legalizing them other than, well, I think the people like it, and they don't actually know. They're just totally cool with it and trying to sweep it under the rug like it's nothing.
You're just saying this because Joe's driving home from Top Cut right now.
Oh my god. Ori from Michigan playing Cheeks about to legalize Great Cave Offensive.
Yo, I'm in. Let's go.
I'm not gonna lie. A Great Cave Offensive, like if you stay in a certain area, right in the top, and then you stay right below the first cave, it's a really fun stage
right now.
That entire stage is amazing.
Me and JJ were forced there for auction, and we had so much fun there. You can tech the kill zone. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you can tech the lava. Akira didn't think that you could tech the lava. I had to convince him.
Oh, you could tech.
JJ up threw me there with Meta Knight, and he died, and I teched it. Because he couldn't tech yet.
Get bodied. Alright, so here's a question I want to pose, because I'm actually pretty interested. What do you guys think Delfino or Halberd should be legal or not legal? Like,
not legal.
For both?
Oh my god, yes.
For both? I'm talking about stages individually, because my opinions, okay. I have different opinions on both.
Okay, Delfino, good Christ no. It has problems with walk-offs, transitions. Every part of that stage is awful.
Water.
How can you
He's about to lose it.
I am.
Not like taking a swim in the summer, son.
Hey man, I love taking a swim. I don't like losing video games. Actually, that's a lie. I actually hate swimming. Halberd, though, I can see the argument for it more. I don't like it when the stage can kill you with projectiles so much, but they're easy enough to avoid. I've heard this argument enough to where I'd be cool with that. I'd be much more okay with the... Honestly, I'd rather see Peach's Castle than Delfino. I said it.
No, you're talking out of your mind right now.
Yeah, it's kind of silly how so many people would prefer to have Delfino than Halberd, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that.
Halberd is honestly a much less, quote-unquote, random stage, even though it has a random projectile element to it. The transitions are completely random. They don't go in a set order in Delfino. And the ceiling is completely untrackable.
Stage is ready to explode.
I'm ready. I got this. Because I think I'm the only one of the five of us right now that has the opinion of Delfino should. If I was gonna pick out of one of the two to remain legal, I would personally say Delfino.
Well, I'm okay with both. I'm just wondering what you guys think of both stages. Tom, what do you think for both?
I would prefer to ban both.
Okay.
If I had to have one, it would be Halberd.
I'm gonna get the hype horn ready for Sage.
All right, Jacob, what do you think?
If I had to pick one, it'd be Delfino. I think Delfino, unlike Brawl, it's just the physics don't work for Delfino. It benefits people way too much, certain characters way too much in comparison to like for example, Blind getting a kill on someone at the 20% when he was on Chompy when he was at 140, and he didn't outplay Chomp. I mean, he beat him, so he outplayed him, but he didn't. That wasn't a kill that he should have gotten in any other stage. Like, that really wasn't a fair kill, and he knew it. Everyone knows it. Like, it was just like.
Imagine you didn't. Alright, well, imagine you didn't have to pick one. Would you ban both?
I would probably. I'd probably ban both. I'd probably ban both.
Sage is the only one.
Let's go. I'm ready.
All right, Sage, get the horn.
Personally, I think Delfino is better than Halberd, and here's why. Halberd has a permanently low ceiling, like super low. Delfino's ceiling is only low during transition, so that is a set window.
But it's twice as low.
But it is super low. Like, it's crazy low. To the point that like most characters can take
like
advantage.
Halberd, you die at like 65, right?
Delfino,
you die.
I killed
at
Handyman's Charizard at 30 with Rosa up air.
Mike, you are legitimately talking yourself out of the argument. What you just said was, you said most characters can take advantage of it, which makes it more balanced, and you said it is permanently a low ceiling, which makes it a fixed set stage.
It is, I agree, but here's what I'm saying about the permanently low ceiling, is that it's more of an extreme to like deal with for a whole match than Delfino's transitions here and there. And I think Delfino lacking in hazards kind of.
I don't know if that's a good argument.
Something. I'm not saying like
it's not a terrible argument, but then like Halberd, like it just has the low ceiling, but then again, Delfino has walk-offs. Delfino has weird stage elements. Delfino has that weird fountain on the left.
Okay, just addressing the fact that the ceiling is low at certain times in Delfino, and that therefore it's quote unquote not as bad. That wasn't your exact wording, but just for the sake of it. The problem with that is we're talking about people who are playing at the highest level, and that these situations where the ceiling becomes so abusively low happen so often that it is reliably possible to abuse the situation, and it leads to degenerative gameplay.
That's fair. Yeah. But like, here's kind of how I view it in a vacuum sense of, all right, let's say we were playing on FD, but there were like new versions of FD. One of them had the ceiling permanently low that Rosalina's going to kill you with up air at 60% the whole game, and like you didn't know that Halberd and Delfino were a thing. And then the other FD was like, hey, for 2 seconds every 30 seconds, Rosalina has the chance to kill you at 20. Where are you going to counterpick her most of the time?
It's not a perfect analogy.
It's not a perfect one, but
yeah.
I think that's kind of how I view it, in a sense that I think that sort of the extreme change to like gameplay that Halberd
also they both suck
at permanent times leaves it kind of less desirable to me than Delfino.
There are two changes that I would make to the Illinois, or I guess the Midwest states. If I were the end-all be-all authority, I would ban Halberd and Delfino, make it 7-stage Delfino. I would ban Delfino, and it would be a 7-stage set list. And FD would not be legal; it would instead be Omega Smashville.
Oh, you don't like
Omega? They're like the same thing, dude.
Stage.
I do not like the background on Final Destination.
There's a clause in Chicago where if you don't want to go to FD, you can request Omega Palutena's Temple instead.
Yeah,
they have to.
Is Palutena's Temple the best one?
It's the exact same as FD. It has the same underneath layout and everything.
Then fine.
I think it has the same stage.
Omega Palutena's Temple would be a thing, but like Final Destination, because of the background, should not even remotely be an option.
That jazzes some people up, though.
Most people don't realize that that's a clause.
I'm just devil's advocating you right now.
No, that's fair. It does jazz people up, and that is inherently a problem. The lights are so much of a problem in that stage that I'm almost certain somebody with like an epilepsy problem could have an episode during that stage.
I completely.
That's an actual concern of mine as a TO. Like, I don't want to see somebody having a seizure in the aisle.
That's a super good reason to ban FD.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
also,
as long as like I have no issue with being like, hey, Omega Palutena's Temple is the actual thing that we play now. Like, okay, better music.
Yeah. Those are the changes I'd make.
Mm-hmm.
I understand not having 8 stages. However, and here is a devil's advocate point to everybody saying we need 7 or 9 and not 8. And I know, Mike, you think 8 is weird, and the math is weird, and I agree. But we had 8 until Dreamland came out for a good number of months, and there was never a problem. So why don't we get to just ban, let's say, Delfino? This is no longer a stage. We have 8 stages. You get 2 bans.
We stopped. I think we actually had to stop doing. We couldn't do 8 stages with DSR. That was a big reason. With 2 bans.
We had to do modified DSR.
Yeah, it was modified for a while, but I personally prefer regular DSR because it promotes stage variety.
I prefer that too, assuming that we had 9 realistically playable stages.
Yeah.
Anybody who thinks that Delfino is realistically playable is just incorrect. I'm sorry. It's not an opinion. That stage is effed up. Like, it just...
You didn't play Brawl enough.
Problematic.
You didn't play Brawl enough.
I didn't play Brawl at all. I skipped that game. I played it like twice and was just like, oh, I'm spamming B on Meta Knight. This is not fun.
That's why you hate Delfino, though.
No, I hate Delfino literally because it is a stage with way too many problematic transitions. If the transitions it had were more like Pokemon Stadium and Melee, not problematic to the point where there were literal holes in the stage that you could fall into, and in doing so get trapped as the stage transitions back up, like the whole stage is moving, that's a problem. If it was just elements of the stage moved a little bit, like the platforms became, longer, or something like that.
Legalize Woohoo Island. That's
go ahead.
Speaking of that, Pete.
Now you're talking about language.
A good example of that is Castle Siege. In Brawl, that stage was pretty much fine.
Yeah.
It was the right side of the first stage.
Weren't there holes on that stage? Weren't there something along the lines of something crazy with that stage?
It sucked, but it was a lot less bad in Smash than in Smash 4. Because Smash 4, the transition instead of coming from the bottom, comes from the top. So from before, if you were charging, say you're charging a Smash attack and it transitioned, you'd still be charging your Smash. Or like if you're doing anything else that requires being on the ground, so like you're grabbing someone. But in the new version, when the transition comes, it comes from the top, so you kind of pop from the ground for a second, so everything gets canceled right when the transition happens.
Yeah, man, double F smash.
I love that you bring that. I love that you bring that up because that is basically one of the big reasons we just don't have Castle Siege legal in Smash 4 over here. I still cannot believe that is a counterpick stage at
And
SK.
45 seconds of a walk-off. I'm okay with like 12. Like 45 though, and 3 times like in a 6-minute
Well,
match.
also Castle Siege Stage 2 is an entire walk-off too. But that's not, like, you can avoid that walk-off.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's there for 45 seconds.
There's the normal walk-off, there's the transition walk-off.
And it has those stupid
half
statues,
of the stage's
right?
uptime is walk-offs.
So in Tom's poll, which got over 100 votes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, like 105 or something.
More than 60% of people wanted Delfino banned for good.
Wow.
If I'm not mistaken.
Like
that's a really high number.
Time to set sail, Delfino.
Halberd.
And wasn't it a bigger number for Halberd?
Dang!
Rip Delfino, rip Halberd.
Yeah, rip both.
But so are we okay then moving into 7-stage list with 1 ban is fine. I have no issues with it. Yeah. But then from there, do we say that Dreamland is the 7th?
No.
I really don't like Dreamland either.
It's hard because in a 1-ban scenario, you literally cannot ban Battlefield layout. Your only hope is to get rid of it is if like they won game 1.
Here's the thing. Here's
Battlefield, and you then ban Dreamland game 3.
Here's how I feel about it: is when you win game 1, you should be the way counterpicking works is you should be taken to a stage that you're not really wanting to go to necessarily. Yeah. And that's why there's 1 ban in a 7-stage format. So if you say have Mario versus Rosalina, right? If Rosalina wins game 1, you ban Dreamland, and then Mario takes you to Battlefield. Well, you wouldn't ban Dreamland because you're Rosalina, so you just ban Battlefield, and then Mario takes you to Town City or wherever.
I have an additional.
You get
thought.
taken to. You're supposed to be taken to somewhere that you're not comfortable.
Yes.
But in the current 9-stage layout, Rosalina has 4 places where you're not comfortable playing against her. In a 7-stage layout, Rosalina has 2. If someone likes Battlefield formats, they have 2 places that you can ban one of the places, and then they can take you to the other one, and they still have the quote-unquote advantageous stage for their counterpick.
I have a solution to this, specifically, that I've been thinking about for a while. If we move to a 7-stage layout, there is a way that no one has really considered that could prevent that from happening so negatively, and that is going to 3 starters and 4 counterpicks.
Done.
Where your starters are the Japanese stage list, Battlefield, Final Destination, and Smashville. And your counterpicks all become available as a 4 set, so what winds up happening is you will go to a very neutral stage game 1, a very bad counterpick for you game 2, and a very bad counterpick for them game 3 should you win the first game, or vice versa should you lose.
I have another weird opinion. I am of the opinion that Smashville is not the most neutral stage in the game, and it is
I'm of the
far
opinion
from it.
Smashville is
I agree.
God's gift to the earth.
I actually agree with Sage. I don't think Smashville's the most balanced stage.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sturm.
I agree with you
I
both.
can't react fast enough.
I agree with you both, but I still
Move your
think that
microwave
it's
if you're going to get it done.
generally neutral.
I will.
It's a generally neutral stage. It is not the most balanced stage in the game, but it is generally neutral.
Yeah.
I think out of everything, more neutral stages, in my opinion, are easily Battlefield and FD.
And Duck Hunt.
Well, then they're both. That's why there are 3. Like,
Yeah.
some matchups Smashville's neutral. Like
I actually think Lilat is super neutral.
I would agree. Some people don't.
I would be.
Yoshi likes that stage a lot.
I'd be perfectly fine. Yeah, so does Jigglypuff. I would be perfectly fine with Lilat being a starter, but at the same time, bias aside, I'm not sure that Lilat is more neutral than Battlefield or FD.
It's definitely
I
not.
think Lilat is more neutral than Smashville. That's my opinion.
So you'd have your. So if you did
I
3
agree.
or 4, you'd have 3 starters of Battlefield, FD, and Lilat.
And everybody would scream at me, and I would be.
Yeah.
That would be so sweet. I would love that.
Let's
forever. Cannot do that.
As soon as that list gets put out, I'm gonna have a mob with torches at my door.
I'm on board. Let's go. Team Sage.
Oh my god.
I
But
got
that
you back.
actually, honestly, if that was the 3 starters, I would be like, because you have a totally flat stage, you have a flat stage with 3 platforms, like in a triangular formation with Battlefield, and then you have a like sort of flattish stage with 3 flat platforms across it. Like you have stage variety there, and
Yep.
you have. I don't see how any of those stages benefit one character in the game like way more than any other. Whereas I could make the argument that Sonic and Sheik and all these characters who love flat stages and love killing off the side would.
Some people just can't have the 3 platform arrangement that often. I think in a 3-stage neutral scenario, and that's where Smashville comes in. It's another platform stage, but it's not a 3 platform stage because those can be the thing that's nice about Smashville for Yoshi and for a lot of other characters. I'm speaking from my experience is it makes it easier to land, and it can be tricky to land on 3 platform stages. So sometimes you want to go to somewhere like that where you can find your way back to the ground.
Yeah, I think so I just see Lilat as more neutral just because like characters like Sheik and like Mario and like Ness and things like that who just get extreme combo extension off of that stage and extreme like potent more kill power to me adds a level of like less balance, but like it feels less neutral. Like they want to go there. There's a reason that I ban them, and there's a reason a lot of players ban them, especially like Smashville. Like people have started calling that Sheikville.
Yeah.
Like the reason I like Lilat is just the tilting itself really messes up ground-based spacing.
Yep.
Which is still balanced technically for everyone. Like some characters benefit from a little bit less, but like it in general, like it doesn't mess up anything major. It just messes up like the range game.
A little bit, yeah.
Minimally.
And I think you kind of need that a little bit in a sense of when you're looking at 3 neutrals, is that those 3 stages of Smashville, FD, and Battlefield, really you have 2 very long stages in Smashville and FD, and you also don't really have anything that's supporting kind of confrontation outside of maybe Battlefield. Battlefield's more of kind of like traps and like playing with platforms, whereas I feel Lilat supports that close up. Like, if I'm playing against a Samus player, hell yeah, I'm taking him to Lilat. Like, all the time.
Okay, well, here's a question. Why can't you do 4 neutrals?
Because then banning gets
striking
off. Yeah, you need...
Player 1 strikes 2, and then player 2 gets to pick between the last 2.
So you only get 1 strike as player 2.
That's fine. But you get to... But then the...
It's not...
Player 1 gets
the trade-off
a
is
benefit.
You get to pick the stage that's left.
There's a weird actually argument between who benefits in a 5-stage striking list, whether it's the guy who strikes first because he gets to select from the last 2, or the guy who strikes second because he gets to strike the least favorable for him twice, and then the guy has to decide between the better one or the better out of the 2 worst. So
that's why I think in a 4-stage list you get really a very unique trade-off there, whether you want to ban 2 stages or if you want to get the choice. I think there's not really a discernible advantage between the 2.
Hang on, Tom. What would your 4-stage list be?
It would be
Everything
Smashville, Lilat, Battlefield, FD.
So everything.
I would be totally down with that list, but I still think the 4-stage ban is kind of odd, and I think it does favor the guy who bans first a little bit more than
the player 1 ban would get a big benefit there.
I don't know. I enjoy picking.
Let's say you're a Sheik player.
Like, I would, if I won the choice, I would go second in that theoretical format.
I'd go first. I'm banning Smashville FD. Take me to Battlefield or Lilat anytime.
Yeah, actually, though, and
I'd take you to Lilat, and I'd be happy.
No, see, what winds up happening is you get somebody who's like a Sheik player, and you have your 4 stages, and Sheik just goes, all right, I'll ban Lilat and FD. You could either take Sheik to Battlefield or Sheik to Smashville.
Or Sheik to FD. I mean, all 3 are bad.
Yeah.
Also, but real quick, though, we do have a question...
you're using a character... Oh, hold on.
We have a question in chat from iTony. I do want to
bring
this up.
What?
What does he want?
He's asking, what about including 8-player Smash maps like Pokemon Stadium and Pyrosphere, since they don't transition or spawns Ridley in 8-player Smash? Problem with that, real quick, I'm just going to point this out. To do that, you need 5 active players, so someone would have to just like SD like 3 times, and you need extra controllers. At that point, you need 3 extra controllers plugged into the system.
That would delay tournaments infinitely.
It takes 2 minutes of setup. I've seen it timed because I know some scenes have been really interested in trying that out. It's way easier in a theoretical 2v2 because then you can just go over there, have a TL or anyone at all, just jump on a gamepad as a 3rd team, jump off the stage. So I think in 2v2 we might see Pokemon Stadium 2 in the future, but I don't know about 1v1 because the time does add up.
Mm-hmm. You need 3 extra players. But anyways, so let's continue the conversation as we were.
I totally forgot what I was going to say.
But,
I know what I was going to say. I'm sorry. Let me interrupt you. Sheik, let's be honest. Does Sheik really have a bad stage?
Lilat's probably the worst of her neutrals.
Right, but I'm just saying how
she has
bad is it?
Lilat, though.
I'm just saying how bad is it really for her? Like, you guys are using Sheik as an argument for like this banning situation, but like that's ridiculous. Why are you using a character for it?
I'm just using Sheik as an example of.
Like, yeah, but it's a bad example.
It's just you could use any character. You could say X character likes these 2 stages, so all they have to do is ban, like, let's say like X character likes stage A and stage B, so X character bans stage C and D, and now they, like, for their starting bans for the first 2, and now, like, your opponent has to take that character to, like,
also,
a stage that benefits them.
What determines who's the first striker?
Rock, paper, scissors.
But that's... awful. That's random, though. That's the problem with that.
Yeah, you can't have the reason rock paper scissors determine strike right now works in a 5-stage list is because it's a relatively even striking process.
Yeah,
it is. It's to the point where when I'm playing a tournament, I literally tell them they can ban first if they want. I really do not care.
Mm-hmm.
Because you should know matchups at that point anyway. So if you,
I always tell someone to ban first because I have the advantage. I get to pick 2 after they pick 1. I get to choose the last 2 stages every time.
Yeah, that's why I
It's
don't.
the same. It's the same thing. Yeah, I don't know what you guys are complaining about. I play one stage you don't want to go to.
You
Then
cut out
I
in
have
a
4
minute there.
stages I get to choose. Like,
Kappy?
do you like? Oh, can you not hear me?
You're kind of cutting out every so often,
We
but you're.
cut off for like a second, but Kappy,
Okay.
I feel like your math is off here.
No.
Very, very reasonably. Yes. Okay, so pick your
You
character.
have 5 stage. You have 5 stages, right?
Pick a character. Pick any
I
character.
play Kirby.
Okay, you're Kirby. I will pick Jigglypuff. Doesn't
Okay.
even
This
matter
is
what
the
character.
worst bracket game of all time.
All right. Yes. You okay? Ban first, son.
Okay, we have our normal starter stages. You're Kirby. You're probably gonna kill me off the. I don't want to give you the option to kill me off the top. I'll ban Town and City.
Okay. What stages are left? Battlefield, Smashville, FD, Lilat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I ban Lilat and FD because I hate Lilat, I hate FD, and I love Smashville and I love Battlefield. Pick my 2 favorite stages, please. Pick one of my 2 favorite stages.
Okay.
Where are you gonna take me?
I am also fine with both of those stages.
So like, but I'm
So which
saying.
one does
Otherwise,
he like?
you're-
It winds up as neutral for both players.
I know,
That's
but
the point.
what if someone hates those 2 stages?
Then they ban those 2 stages.
Then you ban
They
one
ban
of them.
one of those 2 to start, and they ban the other one when it comes back around to them.
If you hate 3 stages on the list, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is potential. So
Same thing though.
I do actually somewhat agree with the mentality that the player who bans second does benefit because they're striking more stages sooner than you are, so they have a broader control of the list than you do.
I don't agree with that. I would rather get to weigh the last 2 stages and say which one of these benefits me more. And you get time to think about it, and you go, okay, well, let's say I'm in the Kirby versus Jigglypuff match, and one of my options is Battlefield, and the other one of my options is Smashville. Okay, reasons Battlefield would be bad for me in this matchup. Reasons Battlefield would be good for me in this matchup.
Right,
Okay, the good outweighs the bad. Let's go to Battlefield.
There is something to be said, the fact that we're arguing
Right.
this and how balanced this 5-stage
Right,
striking is.
right, but then you're picking my favorite stage of all time, which is Battlefield.
That's fine. It could also be
Yeah,
my
but you suck, so he's not worried.
Whoa, but I'm just saying, like, you got what I'm trying to get at here is you guys are using characters as a way to ban, but what if that's my favorite stage? What if you're taking me to my top comfort pick and I body you because of that, even if the matchup's not that great?
Then I should have banned.
I
I
think
had
comfort
2 chances.
picks are
I'm just saying, like,
overrated,
what if I'm picking between 2 comfort picks? You
I
say
think-
comfort picks are overrated?
I think they're
No,
overrated, Kat.
I think
Oh my
comfort picks are
God.
entirely valid, but I think
Oh
when
my
you're looking
God, Sturm.
when I think
I
you're
think
looking
they're
at
overrated, dude. Just so you know.
Oh my
Sturmy,
God.
Sturmy.
Just so you know.
A character
Let
does
it-
not define the stages, son.
But I think when you're talking about counterpicking stages especially, you kind of have to look at it objectively. Like, you don't look at who's piloting X character and who's piloting Y character. You just look at these stages are good for X character, these stages are good for Y character, in a sense of making it balanced. But then comfort picks are played. It's a mind game when you're stage picking entirely.
Yeah.
You guys to know that Mewtwo King bans Battlefield and he banned Battlefield and Smashville more in Brawl because of the comfort pick reason than he
And
did.
that's smart.
And that's
But
fair, yeah.
now you
Right.
are playing to the person, and it doesn't matter how many bans there are. If I know who you are and I know that Battlefield's your comfort pick, then I'm banning Battlefield with one of my 2 bans. If I don't know you and I don't ban Battlefield,
Right.
that's on me. The number of bans is actually irrelevant in that argument.
This is the whole point I'm getting at.
And
Okay.
in a 9-stage, in a counterpick situation, I can't afford to ban your counterpick in our current list because I have to ban Delfino and Halberd.
Oh, I mean, I don't think
Getting back
Delfino
around.
Delfino and Halberd are bad anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna ban them.
Wait,
against
so
everybody.
okay, so we've talked about 7 stages. We talked about the reason why Dreamland could be an issue. We've come to really no conclusion. We've just kind of spotted points left and right, and I think that's kind of where it needs to start. In that people need to just make valid points and let people decide for themselves. And I think after this episode, it would be interesting to see maybe if people have changed their mind or not changed their mind, or maybe even like Dreamland takes some flack or Peach's Castle comes up more. Who knows?
Castle comes up, I'm slicing someone's throat.
But the last thing we haven't talked about is a
That's
5-stage list.
Which is perfect.
Which
So,
is perfect.
remove Duck Hunt, remove you remove Duck Hunt, you remove Dreamland.
Oh, I hate Duck
No.
Hunt. We haven't even talked about that stage.
No, see, and I love Duck Hunt. I would
I hate
remove.
that stage.
This stage is silly.
I play Luigi. First, for the record, before I say this, I would remove Town and City before I would remove Duck Hunt.
Whoa.
I would too, actually.
You think
I would
You
remove-
think Duck Hunt is more of a fair stage than Town and City?
I would remove both.
I think it
I'd
is
remove
the
Duck Hunt
best
first.
counter pick stage in the game.
But-
and if we had a 5-stage list, we would have 3 stages and 2 counter picks.
I say if we
No,
do
I think
5
it'd be
stage
all
list,
fun.
I say we do 5 starters, no counter picks.
Yeah.
1 ban in a best of 3, no bans in a best of 5.
Then
I
I would
agree with.
Then I would
for
want
stage.
Duck Hunt to be part of it.
You want Duck Hunt to be a starter?
Yes.
It's kind of tough for me because the only reason I really support Duck Hunt is because it's the counter answer to like Halberd and its low ceilings, or Town and City and its low ceilings. Like that's like the horizontal low ceilings of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So not having like if it's 5-stage list with Duck Hunt, that means it's Smashville, Lilat, Duck Hunt.
Then you have. I would argue that Smashville also has the horizontal low ceilings,
Yeah.
and then you have the further imbalance of 2 low horizontal knockback stages and then 1 low vertical knockback stage, which makes the banning uneven.
I would not make the argument that Smashville has the horizontal low ceiling. Or
not?
the vertical. Because you're doing this based on a moving platform, which means it does not permanently have that. When the platform is not on the side...
Delfino doesn't permanently have a low ceiling by the same argument.
Delfino should not be a stage, period. Not part of the argument.
But you realize the flaw here is that just because something happens only like a third of the uptime or whatever doesn't mean that competitively it's not a factor, because
Right. No, but it doesn't mean that it is.
You see that in Delfino, that at the highest level people can take advantage of that. You see that when Zero played against JJ Rockets and he 0-to-deathed him to that Smashville platform.
Yeah, that Smashville platform's dumb.
Here, how about we talk about, like, look at Melee. Melee has 5 starters right now, right? With 1 counter pick.
Melee has a terrible stage in Yoshi's Story. It has a terrible stage in Dreamland. It has a fair stage in Battlefield. It has a fair stage in Final Destination, kind of.
Whoa!
Except for the part where
Pulpit, guys.
Except for the part
shots
where
all
she
over Melee.
exists. Yeah, I don't give a shit. I will argue Melee stage lists forever. Because the only 3 stages that should actually be legal in that game are
Pokemon
Battlefield,
Stadium, Pokefloats, Mute City.
That's
Got 'em.
right.
Yup.
Got him.
Nah, dude, no. Strike Mute
Yeah.
City for Big Blue.
Yes. Okay.
Alright, can we
but
just talk about how FD actually isn't a neutral because it sucks?
Yeah,
No.
it actually does suck. Like
it
the
actually
only-
does. I mean, there's a
What,
huge
Melee?
That's a whole another episode.
FD game.
No, yeah, that is a whole other episode. Melee legitimately should just have Battlefield is where you start, and then your counter picks are like FD and
Fountain of Dreams.
Fountain of Dreams. Sure, sounds good.
Because
But-
because Gourmet Race.
I have
That's
been
true.
0-to-death by 1 move playing Melee. I was on the edge at 0. Marth grabbed me and tippered me, and I died.
That's
And
because you're
zero.
bad.
No, that's not.
You
what
are
I'm-
bad, so there's that.
Yes, got 0-to-death because I got killed in the blast zone. 1 move.
Okay.
Why
but
didn't you pick
I would
Sturtle?
argue. Okay.
Oh,
Smash
Alright,
4
let's
has
not
more
talk about
balanced stages than Melee.
let's not talk about Melee here. Let's focus back on the game we're supposed to be talking about.
yes. Sorry.
Smash 4
let's
has more
take it
balanced
back-
stages than Melee. I think the 6-stage list, I would be totally down with the 6-stage list.
But with
Yeah,
just
but-
Duck Hunt as the
Duck Hunt's the sole counter pick, which is already
Sure.
a better counter pick than Pokemon.
I think that's a perfectly fair setup.
I am
you
a
have-
2,000.
Because you have the in my opinion the best 5 stages in the game, which is Lilat, Smashville, FD, Battlefield, and Town and City, which is relatively fine. And then Duck Hunt would be like the kind of counter to Town and City to kind of even that out. And then Dreamland, like even though I like Dreamland, again it's just Battlefield.
It's Battlefield with a breeze.
Yeah.
and a lower
With like a
ceiling.
light happy
A
breeze.
much lower
Wispy's
ceiling.
a goddamn troll, by the way. Like he's ruined my recovery. Actually, it's
Wow.
it's a dick.
It can mess up Yoshi.
I was fine with the Smash 4 stage list before Dreamland got released. I'd be fine with it never being included, and I love the idea of a 6-stage list because it covers all the problems that we have with our stage list right now. I'm
Mhm.
still not a big fan of Town and City for balance reasons, but it's very bannable if you have 5 starters and 1 counter pick.
Yeah.
And when you need to ban Town and City, you can ban Town and City.
And so in a 5-stage 1
6
ban
years, yeah.
list, right? You would have non-sticky bans. Is that how it would work in a best of 5?
No, in a best of 5, it's no bans.
No bans at all. Okay.
No
Best
bans
of
in
five.
best of 5.
Yep.
Which, I mean, so that means, yes, you are going to be brought to Town and City once, but that's once.
You are
That
legit
just
on
means
melee
you guys,
rule set now.
nah, that just means you just gotta work on the stages you know you're gonna be brought to. Like,
Yeah.
that's all it is. Like, no. No one should ever try and ban a stage because they're bad on it.
I agree with Kappy 1000%.
That's
Yeah.
I used to ban duck hunt 100% of the time, and then I started actually practicing it, and I realized like, oh, there's a lot of controlled elements in it that I didn't realize were actually like the ducks showing up, like that's controlled. Where the dog shows up, that's relatively controlled.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it, like, it's understandable what's going on, and it's not a terrible stage in comparison to like.
It's
more
not a
random
good stage
stuff.
for Yoshi. That's a
I'm
good
just gonna
stage, but not a
I'm
good
just
stage
gonna
for my
continue to ban FD for the rest of my life.
I think, okay, so actually, I think that would be an interesting kind of thing to try out, and I'm going to actually talk to Joe about maybe doing it for a weekly. I would love to see how the community reacts to a 6-stage list. So,
And I would make sure to especially push that, like, maybe prioritize Omega Palutena instead of FD.
Oh yeah, do that too.
'Cause FD,
Make sure
like,
you
I
put
was-
that change in.
I was gonna
Me
say
too.
earlier when we were talking about it that
That's a preference
I've actually gotten a kill with Wii Fit Trainer with her header because of the light. Because when the white light shows up, she becomes a literal ghost. And I did the side B header, and they couldn't see the ball either. So the entire time that the screen was white, they didn't know to air dodge the ball, and they died to it.
So you
Alright,
turned
yeah.
off the TV and killed him with your side B?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
that's hype. But I think as long as tournaments have the Omega Palutena's Temple or Omega Battlefield, those are the two common ones that I see. Clause of if you would be brought to FD for whether starter or counter pick, if you request to go to Palutena's Temple instead, they have to oblige.
Yes. That's not a both players agree clause. That's
No,
a
it's you have to go.
one player.
Yeah.
So
does not
if you're
wanna plan
the
FD.
player who has epilepsy, which I'm sure they're out there, and you can be like, okay, FD's a problem for me. So guys, so you sit down and be like, hey man, if we're going to FD ever, we got to go to Omega Palutena's Temple, and he's like, okay, all right, no, Omega Palutena's Temple.
Yo, if someone's saying
it's-
no to you, like they're just a dick. Like,
Yeah,
who
Yeah.
it's a clause that you have to respect. So
As a TO, you can have that as a clause just so they aren't able to be a dick about it.
yeah, and so like if they say no, then you'd be like, well, that guy, the guy who runs it, said you have to, and
It's just like how
otherwise you're gonna get hit with the
the
Dairy Queen.
it's just like how the pause rule is in there, like so like it forces the opponent to lose the stock or lose the game. That's there, so it's the decision is taken out of the hands of the person who it's like it caused, like it didn't cause it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because that puts in a huge, especially at a major, like what happened at Street Fighter this year. That puts if the opponent does that, that puts a huge weight on your back, in which like it's just like, well, if I allow him to play and I lose, that was my fault, and if I don't, then I'm a scumbag. So, like, as a player, you automatically just think like, oh, I'll just let him, but that disrupts everything.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know like what was about to happen if he didn't pause. So, anyways, so I think that's about pretty much gonna wrap us up. We're about at an hour here.
Congratulations, guys! You didn't murder each other.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
a mostly civil discussion. I think
No.
Pete.
Pete's gonna leave and just like, punch his pillow like 9
No,
times.
no, no. I'm completely fine because I'm used to having this argument with literal everyone. But for the record, for all the ranting and the raging. By the way, Kappy, I love you. I actually do. So
Pete's
don't.
just like standing
That's
on the
perfect.
corner of like Top Cut on like Saturdays, just ban Delfino with a sign.
We should just
He's
all
like
make
that
those
crazy
signs.
guy.
They're
Got a
freaking like
megaphone.
he's got a picket fence too.
Now, the sad part is, I'm probably at like the 50% rate of rage when it comes to how angry people get about Delfino Plaza. That's the worst part about this. I'm just very opinionated. So for all the ranting, though, I love the idea of the 6-stage list. I don't know why we haven't done that in the first place.
So
Melee has had 14 years of testing, and they wound up on a 6-stage list with one ban.
It's
Don't-
because
no.
people want to have variety.
Oh, we've got
I-
plenty of variety.
But at what cost?
Yeah.
ladies and
at
gentlemen?
what cost?
Are you playing? Are you playing against Sheik or are you playing against Sheik?
I mean,
we have
to be
plenty
honest,
of variety in this community.
the variety is like a viewer versus player thing,
Yeah.
which I
Oh
favor
yeah, that's
the
funny.
player. I favor player over viewer a little, not a lot, but a little.
I
So
favor. It depends on the scenario.
That's definitely interesting because another national scene question that's going on right now is with the Miis, with should they be able to pick whatever moves they want or whatever, right?
Oh, that's
And
a big argument
So
for another day.
what's his name? That's for another day. But Chibo had a poll, right? And like it was something like 89-90% of people said that me should be able to use every move they want. And that's a poll of like 5,000 people entering from subreddit. But who's entering that poll? Who's going to tournaments from that poll, right?
The 12-year-old on like our Smash Bros. I don't think that guy is playing like top 32.
These are the same people that still sometimes poll that they want customs. And we had a Chicago player informal poll today that was just like, everybody no customs ever again, and now all pro players think customs suck. And oh, by the way, thank you so much to Chicago's hero JJ Rockets for just completely murdering customs on Sunday with Upbeat Diddy Kong.
Oh yeah, the heavy barrel.
Yeah, I heard he made everyone rage about it.
He was getting kills at like 55.
Did he win that Sunday?
Yeah, of course he didn't try.
I didn't.
He literally just made it on purpose, to ruin everyone's enjoyment of customs.
Good.
He's
job,
how I play
JJ.
Mario Party.
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna do with Delfino if it's ever legal. I've already decided that if Delfino's legal, I'm never gonna ban it again. And if someone takes me to Delfino, I'm switching right to Rosalina.
Leave it to the old brawl guard to set it straight.
Yeah. If you want to take jank to me, I will give you the ultimate jank.
Real quick, speaking of Reddit, real quick, I want to give you guys something real quick. Reddit's back when Smash 4 came out, Reddit ran a 17 stage list.
Oh my god. Wait, on 3DS?
No, on Wii U.
Okay.
On 3DS, it's over. The Birdman's coming in.
Yeah, Birdman.
Yeah, that's right, Birdman.
But they had the 9 that we usually saw, like with Castle Siege, not including Dreamland because it wasn't out back then. So Castle Siege was of the 9. So Halberd, Delfino, Castle Siege, Duck Hunt were the 6.
And they had like Mario Circuit.
They had Mario Circuit, the one where you could bounce off the ceiling. They had Windy Hill Zone. They had the Mario 3D World one where Nabbit can take you and shoot off to the sky.
That one's almost a legit stage. More for Nabbit. That'd be a fine stage.
Nabbit you can mash out of super quick.
I want you guys to know that
he still lasts forever, though.
They had Congo Jungle, Circle Camp for days.
Oh yeah, right there, Kappy.
Congo Jungle.
Yikes.
I know I'm missing one or two. Oh, they had Woohoo Island and Pilot Wings for a little while.
Did you guys see that video?
Pilot Wings. Let's go.
See what?
Did you see the video that was on Smash Bros subreddit where Jigglypuff lands a rest punish on Pilot Wings?
Oh, I saw that.
But they're flying under that little. There's just like a bridge, and apparently when you're under the bridge, you can't be knocked off the top. So the Little Mac or whoever gets hit by the top and falls back down. Meanwhile, the plane tilts so Jigglypuff doesn't land on it and falls to her death.
Technically, it didn't. It slightly tilted, but he had already made the decision to go past it. Like it was
like
already.
He tried to ledge cancel it or something, and then missed.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That's the biggest reason why Woohoo and Pilot Wings just like it's a no go because like
completely random
and Skyloft
and stuff.
Okay. Skyloft too, yeah. That
Skyloft was legal in the R thing as well at some point.
Like Venom from Melee. Like, that had the similar situation where there's a cave, but the cave was like, you knew when the cave was happening, and it took a long time, and
you know
never
when those Woohoo and, like, when the things on Woohoo and Skyloft are happening, but there's, like, so it takes, like, 8 different paths depending on, like, what's happening, and then you have to just know which path is which, and, like, check the background, and then at a specific time, when that background starts, like, you have to time it, like, 7.5 seconds, then the cave's there. It's like, it's too much.
And it's only there for, like, a second.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous. But,
you guys missed the days of Brawl Skyloft.
Kappy, do you remember when Jungle Japes was legal?
I do.
Yo, Jungle Hijinks though.
Dude, there were some crazy stages legal in the Brawl days. It was great.
They are kind of fun, to be fair. That is one of my favorite parts about auction is seeing all these goofy ass stages happen. But
like Brawl would actually be a really fun place to have random stages all, because the only really stupid stages are 75M and Newport City. Like, other than that, like, every other stage in the game is actually really fun to play on.
Dude, casuals in any Smash game with all stages,
so
it's
good.
the best.
used to play a game on Newport City where when the general popped up, we called him the general. I don't know why, but that like pink demon dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
He was the general. But we would play a game where everyone had to stand there
Slayer?
next to each other, and like the game was just you could only spot dodge, and just you had to dodge him.
Dude,
Oh,
my
man.
game is we would just run into him and play Super Tech Bros Deluxe. It didn't work out very well.
Alright guys, that is going to wrap up Smash Talk for tonight. Thank you for tuning in for everyone who did. Thank you to the wonderful panel that showed up for this fantastic conversation. It was a one-topic episode today, but it was a good topipic.
It was
and
fun.
I actually really like the conclusion we kind of came
Yeah,
to
we-
with the 6
yeah.
stages. We made progress.
It wrapped up okay, actually.
I think it's something. Yeah, now it's just a matter of implementing it.
Yeah, so that'll be something that I think we here in Chicago are going to start working towards, is seeing how the stage list kind of falls together. Maybe like 6 stage or possibly 7 stage with Dreamland. I know a lot of people would probably be pretty upset about Dreamland.
Get
going,
that
but
out of here.
We're gonna have to.
I like Dreamland.
We're gonna have to write a big post about why Dreamland isn't there.
And I mean, Hyrule Castle's eventually going to be neutral, so.
Hyrule
Yo,
Ca-
just wait till I drop a
wait,
stage. block.
Okay, so real quick, I do want to give a shout out to E2C17 coming up this weekend.
Yo.
And
Oh, yep.
4v4 is gonna be there in the morning.
Oh,
fun.
I gotta make sure
Speaking
I
of
catch that.
Hyrule Castle, ladies and gentlemen.
So Hyrule Castle is a legal stage for 4v4. It's counterpick,
Oh my god.
and
That's
That's
so
actually a
good.
pretty legit stage. Like,
So-
that'd be fine.
This one is my brainchild. For the
starting
record.
on
I hope
Pyrosphere.
it's hype.
That's why it'll be awful.
And then, because Ridley doesn't show up, so it's a beautiful stage for 4v4, just as it is for 3v3 VIP. And then from there, counterpicks are Big Battlefield and Hyrule Castle.
Yes.
And my contribution to this is the overtime rule, which I
Oh, yeah, I
hope
remember
happens
working
on
on
stream. So what it is tiebreakers are decided by stock count, but if stock count is even, then it goes to overtime. So it goes from 3v3 to 4v, or it goes from 4v4 to 3v3 on the stage you last played one stock. First team to lose a stock, like lose a player, loses.
That's
Yo.
really cool.
That's
Yeah.
But
no time limit.
I just am now hearing about this. No one
That's
told me
hype.
that this was happening.
That was in our
Isn't that
conversation.
insane?
It was in our
Yeah,
chat.
we were having that in the TO chat.
Were we? I
Yeah.
don't know.
So,
I've been
like,
asleep for like 4 days.
Imagine like an 8-minute match of 3 stock and like it's like 2 players left 1v1 and they just time it because like percentages don't matter. in
Right.
That one dude could have 140, one dude could have 10. It goes
Yeah.
to timeout. You're 3v3 now. You drop a player each. You just your team huddles together, decides who, and now it's like you're playing like shootout hockey.
I love that. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Sage, are you ready? Are
I'm
you ready
so
for
ready.
Puff? Are you ready for Puff
We're
Boys?
playing Jigglypuff ×4.
Amazing.
Are you guys serious?
I gotta get it.
And
I
you're
gotta
not
get a
putting
team.
me on that. You're not putting
Kappy,
me
show
on that
up and
team.
you will be on the team.
Do you realize how good my Jigglypuff is? I'm making a combo video for it, son.
All right.
So
Yeah.
this was Ruin's idea, and I'm a
I have
Jigglypuff fan.
I have one request.
Okay.
I need to see a down air to down air to down air to rest, and if that doesn't happen, I will be eternally disappointed.
So
Alright.
our plan is to double pound someone who's shielding and have an insta shield break as much as possible. Like, what do you do about that?
Because Pound has so much shield stun too, so you could just like pound and the other Jigglypuff just like runs up and pounds.
Oh my god!
Yeah, even if they're perfect shield, they'll be stuck.
This is gonna be the silliest 4v4.
Alright. Any of you who stuck around to listen to Smash Talk, you now know our secret. That's your reward.
We laid out some tech, the new 4v4.
Oh my god!
All right.
I apologize for my.
I wanted to do quadruple Rosalina, but Knight already has a team and he's a buster and didn't want to join us.
Nah,
What a-
dog. Nah, dog. Quad Puff. We
Quad
got
Puff.
this.
Quad
going.
Puff is more hype. Quad
Cap-
Rosalina is a terrible team, but it would have been hilarious because Rosalina and Rosalina and Rosalina and Rosalina and Luma and Luma and Luma and Luma.
No.
That was the 3v3 team that I wanted Warren to do with you and Knight.
That would have been hype too. But anyways, guys, so we've already said like Smash Talk is ending like twice already, but it is legit ending this time because I have class in like
And I
7 hours.
have to go to bed for work
Yes.
tomorrow.
So,
Yeah.
thank you all for tuning in. Thank you guys on the panel. Be sure to follow all of us on Twitter. You can follow Xyless at Xyless, follow Lord Sturm at LordSturm473, follow me
Yep.
at Smash Talk Sage, follow Pac Diesel at Smash Pac-Man, and follow Kappy at Kappy321. So follow us. We all tweet about Smash Bros and various other things. Kappy
I
tweets
tweet-
about.
I tweet about the most random stuff,
So his is the best one to follow. Clearly.
yeah.
That's true.
Yes, I mean,
I
look
don't
at
tweet
the-
often, but I'm trying to more.
Yeah, you tweet never.
Just
I don't
be
know what
Kappy.
you're talking about.
Dude, I'm gonna start tweeting more. I swear.
And all of your
tweet
tweets
every
should be
day,
Kappy.
and I'm actually funny. So follow me, guys.
Whoa, it's true.
Yeah,
Sturm-
you post about Hearthstone, so no one cares
And
about
about
that.
your salty like 9th place finishes.
Yo.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Good
Yep.
night.